Yep.
Hey, sweet business.
Which I haven't used yet.
I haven't either. I've
Same.
used I used the new LMG for like
Ooh.
maybe 10 seconds earlier today after I got it. And then nothing. What about you? What have you guys gotten any of the new weapons yet?
Yes.
hmm
I have used 0 of them.
What is it about them that makes you
I mean, so my whole thing was leveling up using whatever dropped for me on along the way.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't waste any infusion fuel, and then raiding. And during the raid, apparently only weapons drop from encounters.
Mm-hmm.
Armor comes from, at least my experience so far, is that armor comes from somewhere else.
Yeah.
And so I've just kept the gear score going with what I was using in the raid because it was working for me. So I have at least 10 new weapons that I have yet to even fire a shot of,
Oh man. That's cool.
including
Emblyne?
the raid sniper rifle, which looks clean.
Oh, the raid sniper does look delicious. I've been using Eris Morn's sniper rifle, Tranquility, in the Crucible, or
Yeah.
that set of weapons.
Oh.
Oh, it is gorgeous. It's so wonderful to use. I got to roll with Snapshot Outlaw, and it is, it's dirty.
I got an Outlaw Rampage version of that.
Ooh.
And it's like I like just the feel of it. Overall, the
Mhm.
feel for most of the weapons, including like some of the feel to scout rifles, I feel like they got a little bit more heft to them now, too.
Yeah,
which is kinda
definitely.
cool. But anyways, I think we're live on the channel now. We should be at least.
Yep.
All right. Yeah. Welcome, guys, to episode 214 of the Planet Destiny podcast. My name's Danfinity. I'll be your host for this evening because TBL and Nim are both away for the weekend, doing things, hanging out, shooting stuff, I'm assuming. Tonight we have Aura in the co-host position.
Raid completion, 24-hour and 30-minute raid completion aura. So if I look like I'm dead, it's because I am.
Because you are. So you got the emblem?
I did not get the 24-hour emblem. We got finished as soon as contest lifted.
Gotcha.
We finished. Now, Bungie put out a tweet saying that they were going to award the emblem to people who complete the raid up until 3 o'clock Eastern time. So 2
Yes.
hours after reset, which we qualify for. But I'm hoping that they have math that shows whether or not contest was active, because contest mode was not active when we completed. Therefore, I do not want the emblem that I did not earn.
Gotcha.
Mm.
Yeah, I hear that. I saw a lot of that on Twitter earlier today.
Yeah, I don't want
it. And
Who's our guest, though?
Tonight, in the guest seat, a rare appearance
Thrown into
from
the fire.
Emblyne,
Yeah.
aka Landon. How are you doing this evening?
I'm doing mighty well.
Mighty well.
Mighty well.
Flex.
Mighty fine.
Emblyne came in less than 2 minutes notice, hot off the heels of some comp, just ready to dive
Yes, sir.
in. It's
That
nice,
is
though.
correct. It is.
We'll be able to cover 3 different aspects of the content. We'll be able to cover the story, because Dan's taken part in the story.
I have taken part in the
story.
story.
And then Landon's done comp and done the story and done the Vex offensive. And then I have done nothing but the raid. I did the story too. We'll talk a little bit about that. So that's where we should start. Should we talk about the story first?
Should we introduce Emblyne and what he does here at PD first?
What does he do at PD first?
Yeah. What do you do?
I serve as kind of like a support role. So let's say, like, I don't know, something needs edited or cut, and people have things going on in their lives. Not everyone's always available. I kind of step in and help out with that. That's where I do most of my time.
You're a pinch hitter.
Yeah. Think of it like that. That's a good analogy.
That's good. That's excellent. What class do you normally run?
Warlock only. I actually don't have a Titan or a Hunter. I play exclusively Warlock.
Or what are we gonna do?
I know it's tough for most people.
My first confession about raid completion is that our fire team was made up of 4 Warlocks, a Titan, and a Hunter. And your boy was one of the 4 warlocks.
What is going on?
There we go.
It's contest mode, dude. You play your life. That's what's going on. What is going on is you need to be able to stay alive, and it's really hard to do that on the other classes. So we're gonna allow it this time.
I'll allow it this time. I'll allow it this time. I'm a little upset about it, but I'll get over it. So yeah, let's dig in. What do you guys want to start with? You want to start with?
We should start with where Shadowkeep began, and that's going back to the moon and the story, and I guess initial reactions of running through the content that we knew of before the raid launched on the moon, and then leading up to the raid launching at 1:00 p.m. Eastern time yesterday.
I think it's pretty fair. I think it's pretty fair that there will be spoilers in here a little bit.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
If you haven't completed the story missions up through this point, this is your warning to stop listening to us.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
Thanks for listening. Thanks for enjoying the show.
Love you. But so that first mission, let's talk about that a little bit. How did you guys feel coming over that hill and seeing that triangle ship?
Oh, heart sank. I mean, we knew that, we'd have to come face to face with them sooner or later, but having it be on the moon is like this soon and not like in a D3 type scenario, made the heart race.
Yeah, absolutely. What about you, Aura?
So I think my initial thoughts was like, we have AI robots with us that are shooting rocket launchers at Hive.
Right?
Confused me quite a bit, and our ships were actually firing rounds at Hive, which I thought was also incredibly unique. I feel like it's one of the first times that we've seen something of that nature. I think it's the first time I've ever seen a ship fire. We've had AI fighting alongside us before in situations like the Tangled Shore and those spiky fallen dudes that were fighting for us or Hive, whatever they were. But that was something that took me aback. And when we finally got to the end and we see the nightmare for the first time, and there's Crota, and you're like, oh my God. And then you fight him, and then all of a sudden there's all of these other people next to him, and you're like, I actually can't win this with my current power level, and like they are way too strong. And so I think my first reaction was like, all right, cool. Like Bungie's actually given us a bit of a challenge, and it's kind of nostalgic, but it's a new spin on them, and perhaps maybe even a better spin on them. So I was pleased. The Dorito that was in the rocks, it looked to me like there were spider webs next to it, and my mind is just going like, what gigantic spider made spider webs that big?
Yeah,
that's the thing that I noticed first. Is like it actually looked like there were spider webs in there.
Tangled Shore. That's what made it.
Yeah.
In his off
I
time,
guess, maybe.
In his off time, he goes to the triangle ship. He's like, "Well, I'm just gonna make more webs over here. Don't mind me." But that was pretty exhilarating. I felt like the overall story. People were commenting a lot this week about how it kind of felt short, and kind of just ended abruptly. But I thought that it was really kind of diving into their concept of them telling a story, not only in the initial campaign, but over the course of the next year. I was hoping that we would get something after the raid. I was hoping we'd that last cutscene where, spoiler alert, caution number 2, where the triangle ships are hanging in the air above Venus, above the Black Garden, and a version of yourself comes to tell you that we're not your friend, we're your salvation. That sent shivers down my spine.
It was excellent.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It was excellent. And I thought that the story took a little while to get going. Like it was almost kind of boring to me until the last 2 missions. And that's when I was like, oh my God, I want more. Like I need to know more. Like we went and got this relic from the Dorito, and then we give it to Eris, and then now she just has it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what do we do with it? Like, what do we do now? Like, it was really cool. Like, we're your salvation. We're in the garden of salvation. Like, hello. But it was really cool to go back and fight Fogoth. I was literally memeing when I first brought up Fogoth like 6 months ago on this podcast. It was just a joke. and lo and behold, we actually had an opportunity to go back and fight Fogoth again. And the thing about the nightmares is that they are very aggressive. They seem to be faster than I remember AI being. Like I blink and then they were on top of me, which I thought was really unique too. And I've done that story 3 times now because I wasn't sure if I had to do the story to unlock the raid.
Right.
So I ran through it on all of my characters. And every time I did it, I enjoyed it even more, which is kind of the opposite of what the stories have been for me in the past. Like doing the Red War a 3rd time was awful. But doing this the 3rd time, I actually felt like I picked up on little things that I might have missed along the way the first couple of times that I was doing it. So I really, I don't know. I think kudos to Bungie. I think they did a good job with the storytelling. And while it was short, it was only the first, how many days? 5 days?
Yeah.
Of the content. And I think we just got punched in the mouth with a ton of content yesterday. That might have alleviated some of that, like, oh, the story was so short, but here's a raid, and here's the Vex offensive, and here's a bunch of exotic quests and weapons to forge. That, you know, the content seemed to get a lot deeper on Saturday.
Yeah, it was really unique. Sorry, here. I'm gonna make.
I mean, Landon, tell me what you think, dude. While Dan's getting Moon in here.
Yeah.
Man, I love Destiny stories in general, so I had no complaints about the size of the campaign. But I like the fact that it leaves us at this place where, you know, the Guardians going into the Garden of Salvation, they unlock parts of this artifact. That's what is said happens. And so I'm excited to see if over the course of the season we're gonna like unlock more powers from it, and like what Eris is gonna do with that. I think this is a really nice place to start like the year-long story.
Yeah.
Do you think that's what it's going to do, though? Do you think this is going to be a year-long story that radiates from the moon? Or do you think that as we move into our next season that it's not going to be moon-related, it's not going to be Hive-related, maybe it's not even Garden of Salvation related or Vex? I don't know. Like, do you actually see...
I don't see... Like, I see what you mean there. I see the artifact that we got from the ship moving along through kind of the different enemy factions, and like everyone's kind of understanding of that artifact. I can see that playing a part as we come to understand kind of the enemy. So I think over the course of the year, I think we're going to get some new stuff with the different factions for sure. But I do think the seeds that they've sown here will definitely carry through the year.
I can only hope so. Honestly. So you thinking like there, all right, so if next season it's more, for example, Cabal based, you're going to think that there's a part of that artifact that is Cabal lore based, where part of their story is intertwined with this artifact itself, because this artifact is what kept the nightmares from haunting the Hive, right?
Yes. As I understand the current
That's what
story.
I understood from the story too. So I don't know. The nightmares were unique, and the fact that they're all guardians, the little like beings that were kind of hanging everywhere, I thought was extra creepy. And they actually had mannerisms.
Yeah,
and they are crazy. Like they're literally calling for help on patrols and free roam.
Yeah.
Like it's almost like you're hearing flashbacks. I don't know if those dialogues are from old encounters or not. But like y'all just be out there like roaming, grab some helium filaments or coils or whatever they're called now. And you'll just hear like a cry for help. I'm like, oh, I forgot. There's that phantom that was, doing that. So
the voice acting overall was pretty fantastic.
I 100% agree.
Yeah.
Like not only Morla for Eris, but like our Guardian got to speak again
a few times.
Yeah. And like I wasn't prepared for it when it first happened. And I was like, oh, sweet. We get to speak again. And then hearing that talk back to us at the end was horrifying. But...
So I always have my helmet on. So when I first saw the first cutscene on my Titan, I forgot what my Titan even looked like. And I'm like, who's that?
Yeah.
Is it like, because I must have not cared when I made my Titan, because it was a goofy looking, like weird face paint, strange hair. Like it was, it was definitely, it took me a minute to realize that it was actually me that was the one talking to myself. So that, I'm not sure if anybody else out there experienced that, but That was definitely one of the things that I was like, oh,
yeah.
Who's that again?
No, I'm right there with you. My Guardian actually looks kind of like Uldren, and I wear my helmet all the time.
Right. Yeah.
So when I went there, I was like, Uldren's in the garden? What's going on?
What do you mean? Yeah. That was oh well. That was cool.
Yeah, after seeing the cutscenes, I was like, I'm going to need to probably restart my character again.
Yeah. I guess how did you guys feel about the nightmares being Taniks and Skolas and Omnigul and Fogoth, right? Those were the outside of Crota.
Before we get to that, I would like to reintroduce Moon.
Thanks.
The Planet Destiny boss. I'm so sorry. Please don't fire
you're in
me.
trouble. No, I'm just kidding.
Don't
it's fine.
fire me yet.
It's all right. Hey guys, what's going on?
You sound great. You said you were sick. You don't sound sick at all.
Yeah,
you sound wonderful.
You sound great.
Oh well, thank you.
You're welcome.
I appreciate that. And you get brownie points.
Dan?
Gosh, yeah, no, if I can just interject and say, story was great. Love everything you're talking about. Agree with everything you're saying. What was the question that was asked again?
About the nightmares.
And them being I guess it's 5 major characters from Destiny 1, and Taniks, who I guess is a cult classic. Like Taniks didn't play a big role. His strike is just a cult classic.
Yeah.
Omnigul, which of course, Grasp and Malak.
Before no banner.
Fogoth, to me,
Something.
The Fogoth Thorn strike from D1 was one of the hardest strikes I've ever seen in my entire life. So seeing Fogoth make a return was really, really, like, I'm going to say it over and over again. I really enjoyed the fact that Fogoth made a comeback.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I think all the nightmares being what they were made a lot of sense, because narratively for me, this is a DLC about the trauma that Guardians face, right? And you think about Taniks and you think about what he did to Andal and how that affected Cade, and then you think about Skolas and just like all the death and suffering that came from what he did, and Crota, just it made sense to me. So I appreciate that they brought in those characters again, those villains.
Yeah. When I saw Fogoth, I was doing the campaign by myself for the most part, because like Tuesday I just didn't have time to really jump in at lunch, and it was kind of a rough day, so jumped in later on in the evening. And once I got to Fogoth, I was way under light for him, and I was like, oh, this is kicking my ass just like in D1, like when I first saw him. And it wasn't until DJ White Lightning and I jumped in together that it was fine. But holy hell, man, they could throw you for a loop if you weren't prepared.
If I never saw Fogoth move that quickly, that's one of the things about him. And I never saw him have as much free roam as he has.
Yeah,
as a nightmare.
Oh Lord, he coming.
Yeah. You can't you can't really be on the floor for that encounter anywhere. You kind of you have to stay up top for a lot of it. Thankfully, all of the ads come to you. So it made, when I went in on my third time, by the time I learned the lesson, it made the third time through pretty much a breeze, because they'll all just roll right up to you to take care of them. But my first time, I was running around like a crazy person on the floor. And Fogoth, he runs like the fastest 40-yard dash I've ever seen. Like, he should play professional football as a wide receiver, not be a nightmare in a video game. But yeah, does that cover everything in regards to the story?
I think so.
Yeah, it covers everything fairly well. What was everybody's experience with getting gear? With
I tell you what, man, the loot, this game throws gear at you, so getting to 900 and even getting above 900 really wasn't all that bad, as long as you kind of. And the game even tells you which ones are more powerful drops, like your tier 2 powerful rewards versus your tier 1 or your tier 1. So it really, leveling really wasn't all that painful, as long as you had the opportunity to just play the game.
Right.
But there wasn't a whole lot of new loot outside of armor being armor 2.0.
Right.
That came down. Like, I'm still seeing whatever the armor set is from like the Tangled Shore dropping for me, for instance. You know what I mean? So The new loot was really only a couple of weapons. I think I got the SMG, the new SMG, the new light machine gun, and the new sniper rifle that you mentioned earlier. I forget the name of it already.
Tranquility.
That's the one.
Yeah.
Which is really nice. The SMG, not so great. Light machine gun, not so great. Sniper rifle, very good.
Yeah, everybody's really loving the sniper.
Yeah.
That's and I didn't even fire a shot of the raid drops that I got. I actually got a bow with rapid hit.
Oh.
A bow.
A bow.
With a faster reload speed.
Is that
just like
I couldn't.
speed?
I don't know. I actually couldn't believe that perk was even available on a bow.
Yeah.
To begin with, so that became infusion fuel rather quickly.
Yeah.
But I got the AR, I got the hand cannon, and I got the sniper rifle from the raid. I haven't had a chance to dive into yet. We'll get into the raid a little bit later.
Have you taken a look at your the total numbers on all of your pieces?
My stats, like the gear stats, like 50, 52, 49, that kind of thing. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. It's been when it matters and you're building your gear in 2.0 and you're trying to get the right scavenger and the right reloader perks to match your loadout, and you're limited by the element, it made it kind of tricky.
Yeah.
So I was running sniper rifle, SMG, and light machine gun in the raid for the most part of it. Izanagi's Burden, Recluse, and 21% Delirium. And I don't think I could find a way to get light machine gun perks due to having to decide to go with SMG and sniper.
Right.
So that made things kind of problematic. I get why they're doing it, but it gets pretty frustrating. So a couple pieces of my raid gear were actually end up being like year 2 sets that had the perks already on them versus 2.0 stuff that I put mods into.
Yeah.
I've noticed that a lot when playing PvP, that people are tending to use their 1.0 armor sets, at least now, until we figure out kind of the most efficient way to build out those loadout strengths.
100%. My light reactor, fusion rifle scavenger, all of that stuff, I locked to make sure that I wouldn't, be a doofus and delete by accident.
Yeah.
What does everybody think of Ariana's vow? I know there's some mixed opinions on that.
It's interesting. I've just played with it today for the first time, even though I got it like the first day. It was interesting to me, the recoil pattern and the fact that it used special instead of primary. Those were the main things that threw me off about it, but I don't know. I don't see it really changing my gameplay in the long run. Because I have other things that are major go-tos in my loadout generally. But I don't know. It's interesting.
It's kind of nasty in Crucible in the right hands. Yeah. I haven't tried it, but
there's a lot of 2-tap, and even I think you can 1-tap in certain scenarios with weapons or in a well. It's dirty. As a sniper, I don't like to use it because I feel like it's like a Kmart brand sniper.
Yeah,
I would rather just use a rifle. But to people who are coming from hand cannons, it's very effective. It's very dirty.
Yeah.
If the majority of players I played against in Crucible couldn't really use it very well, and I don't blame them because it was the first day it was available.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of people had a whole lot of time to really get involved with it. Most people were missing the majority of their shots, or they weren't able to get the second shot off in time to secure the kill. Yeah. So I'd get I would take massive damage, but I would be able to fight back and most likely outgun them before they got their second opportunity. I used it in PvE quite a bit. There's a couple of bounties on the moon where you had to use hand cannon kills for certain things to progress the story. And I had it on the character and dim wasn't working. So I used it in PvE, which is actually pretty effective. It would pair well with I guess like a kinetic SMG. It would pair really well with something like that. I had a pillager with Rampage that I used throughout the course of the story. That was really good for being a pillager. I don't think I've ever said that about any SMG that wasn't Recluse, but it was actually really, really good. And there's a lot of ammunition about it. You end up with way more rounds in it than you would a sniper rifle. And almost the same amount of damage. So it's a pretty good choice for PvE, in my opinion.
Yeah. I don't know. I gotta play around with it. But now that you said that thing about the Kmart special, I want it to have an ornament that says blue light special or
Like
something.
blue light special on it. Yeah.
That'd be so good. That'd be so good.
I also like that. Sorry, Dan, I keep cutting you off.
Go ahead.
I also like that we have a system to reacquire weapons from Eris at like different roles and stuff now. I think that was really clever because it's not like, you're sitting there doing a bunch of strikes to get the same weapon from Zavala or something like that. You just pick up the thing for the weapon that you want and you go earn it real quick and try to, get the perks that you
They're
want
learning.
on it, basically.
They're learning from Escalation Protocol. They're learning from the Forges. They're learning from Menagerie that we like to be able to earn the same thing over. I don't know why it took this long, but that we like to earn the same thing over and over and over again, and we like to be efficient in it. And I think that this is something that I hope we see for seasons to come, because it does work. I haven't had a chance to dive into any of the weapons to know whether or not I really even want to farm for one. I'll tell you right now that the sniper rifle is so good. I could see myself going in once everything kind of dies down and trying to farm for it. Although I didn't use the raid sniper yet, so we'll see what that's like.
Yeah.
I got the hand cannon. I got a roll on it that I really liked. I can't remember what it was exactly right now at the top of my head, but it was. I want to say it had demolitionist, and I want to say outlaw on it.
Oh, that's not bad.
Yeah, it's not bad. It's definitely, if for a certain build, that would be amazing. Especially with like the fact that you can make these builds. I think I'm gonna make a my Arc Strider be a double grenade boy, and I think that would kind of play into that loadout pretty well. So I don't know. Anybody thought about any builds that you're looking forward to, or in the long run? It seems to me that it's going to take like a month, 2 months before everybody kind of settles in.
Yeah, I feel that way as well. Has anybody used the Warlock exotic chess piece
for
Stormcaller?
Yeah, I have them.
Man, I like that a lot. I know it looks kind of janky, but I like that aesthetic, and it's very effective in PvE. Can really easily see myself building a PvE kind of structure around that.
You can definitely mow stuff down way quicker with that thing.
So my warlocks, I'm primarily focusing on intellect builds when the armor 2.0 kind of drops. I've got 3 pieces of armor now because we have to have one of each. Sorry about that.
Unacceptable.
And so I have one of each element, but I'm trying to maximize intellect because I've noticed a very, 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 very significant impact to super cooldowns. So intellect build for probably my Titan and my Warlock. Honestly, I think I'm going to go with strength builds for my Hunter, because I have a funny feeling that giving everybody invis is going to be a thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
I came in here to talk about the story, but like the ship sailed before I could get here.
I'm sorry,
it's God damn it, Dan. No, I'm just kidding. I haven't really played around with the gear yet, but I'm excited to, because I think that I like a lot of the changes that they made. So
yeah. How's everybody feel about finishers?
Love them.
I want to be able to take them off.
Yeah.
Oh.
I want to be able to unequip them, and I'll tell you why. Because while we're doing our raid and we're at the boss encounter, if enemies get too close to me, I'm so thumb heavy on my controller that instead of finishing the kill, I go in for a finisher unintentionally, which leaves me exposed. And there's some goofy mechanic where if you're next to a wall and you finish a harpy, you explode.
Oh, wow.
So run after run while I'm in the teleport when reses are at a premium, and if you're in the raid, spoiler alert, there's roles you play that you cannot go down while you're being a part of that role. And that's where that was occurring the most. So I want to be able to unequip one to keep myself safe.
Yeah.
I can see that.
They're wonderful. They're absolutely wonderful. But there's places and times to use them, and unintentionally is not one of them.
Yeah. I mean, I guess that could be fixed by like remapping stuff, but that's just on a person-to-person basis, right? And you don't want to kind of change your whole control scheme just because of one thing that's throwing you off.
Yeah.
I wish they were available in PvP, like assassinations.
Yes, 100%.
I understand why that would be extremely difficult for them to implement and kind of like figure out, what the circumstances are in which you could do that. But God, I wish they were available in the Crucible. That would be super, super fun. But I really do like them. I think it's just a neat little way to kind of, have a little bit more flourish. So
I want the flourish, but I also want it to feel special. And like, so we got them. Opening mission, I'm doing them all the time. Left, right, center, doing them everywhere. Knocking everybody out with my knives because I'm a hunter and it does that double knife spin thing. And I did that probably like 30 times and then was like, and I think I'm done doing it.
You know what I think would be cool?
Yeah.
If they implemented a way for them to kind of happen at random, like say you have a selection of finishers that you like own, and then you hit, what is it, R3 or whatever, and then it just picks a random one to use. That might be interesting. I know this is a new feature, so it's not exactly maybe where it could be yet, but I don't know. I think that would be fun.
Yeah, I appreciate that about it. I think it would be cool if it was only on certain enemy types, like if it was on orange and yellow bars.
That'd be cool.
Because I was just doing it everywhere, and it, like, for me, it lost its luster pretty quickly.
I think that kind of changes as you are able to put perks on it.
Yeah.
So in the raid, having one that granted special ammo for your entire team became pretty crucial as ammo became a premium.
Okay.
And there are going to be different styles, and I think Muna is onto something where maybe it could be at random, and we could have a few different ones just to keep it kind of fresh. But like I'm going to stand by it. I want to be able to take it off.
Yeah,
because
I think that's fair.
Team a few times.
Yeah, for sure.
I also kind of see it as another personality extension, just like your emblem or like some other like stylistic choices. I think once we get to a place where there's like 30 of them, and you can really like, or just like a large amount to choose from, it'll feel more special because it'll be, what your guardian chooses to do.
Yeah.
We'll get a Stone Cold Stunner. We'll get like a pile driver.
That's what I want.
We'll get like a
Let me suplex a knight.
I mean, that would be would be kind of neat. I wonder if there'd be royalties that would have to be paid out for that to happen. But like, I don't know.
I mean,
that would be kind of cool. Other than like spinning knifey thing, and I don't even know what warlocks do. They like blow a puff of air at them or something.
God, I want to choke slam a thrall. That would just be so funny.
Hurricane Rana.
I'm sorry.
Hurricane Rana, dude. That would be great. How much do they? But honestly, how much do they pay in royalties for like emotes and stuff? I can't imagine.
I don't know if you can. I don't know what you can trademark, what you can, or copyright, and what you can't. Honestly, so that's for them to decide or even talk about or figure out. And I guarantee you that there's no way they've implemented this system and not have 1,000 ideas coming down the pipeline. They're trying to figure out or animate or find someone. I mean, they got the Big Show who's like a big fan, so just have him come in and choke a bunch of Bungie employees.
Oh my God, that would be amazing.
We're now hiring volunteers to get chokeslammed by Paul White. Here, sign this waiver.
I'll take it just for the story. I want to be squibbed, and I would be chokeslammed by Big Show.
What a gig.
2 goals in life. 2 goals in life.
Oh my God.
So, leading into the raid, how many here have attempted it?
I haven't even looked at it.
I have not.
I believe I am the only one.
Our sole raider. I was barely able to watch it on Saturday, but like I was telling you guys earlier, I'm like only about 900. I got done with the story. I did a Vex offensive, which is a really fun activity, but man, I didn't even want to step into the raid this time right at the gate. What was it like for you, Aura?
Grueling. So we went in at reset. One of my teammates is completely deaf. Stash is completely
love
deaf.
Stash.
He relies
Shout out
only
to Stash.
on chat comms for any kind of call outs and whatnot. First encounter was I mean the whole thing. We finished at 24 hours and 30 minutes, and we went to bed for about 7 hours. We called it. We had basically our entire team was in Europe. It's like 5 o'clock in the morning for most of them. So we called it. We went to sleep. We came back. Got the boss to half health on most of the actual contest modes. As soon as contest mode is lifted, we 2-phase them. We're out. Easy. Once the contest mode was lifted. This is, I mean, I've been calling for run and gun and not stand still and do DPS for like ever. And I feel like this raid brings it. There's a lot of moving parts. There's a lot of run and gun. There's a lot of action. I love, and the raid is, it is gorgeous. It is absolutely beautiful.
That's what I'm most excited about. I'm so wrapped up in the aesthetics of this game that like that is the thing that I am most excited about, I think, is going in and looking at everything and exploring, because like Black Garden has always been beautiful, but seeing it in D2 is going to be a real treat.
So. It was tough. I mean, it was really, really tough. We were on pace to be in a top 10 finish if we found a way to make it work at 12 o'clock midnight, my time, which was 5 a.m. for them. But it's unforgiving, and even with contest mode lifted, there's certain aspects of this where you simply cannot make a mistake, and there's still teams out there that are trying to find a way to beat it with contest mode lifted. And I gotta tell you that damage isn't the main problem for a lot of people. This boss is not a bullet sponge at all. What are you even talking about, phone? Do you mean?
I can't wait for the people who are listening to this on the podcast
to look at their phone.
They're just like, dude. What's going on? It's like when there's police sirens going on in the background.
Yeah,
some songs.
You're like, oh,
I'm trying to talk about the raid, iPhone. Anyway,
yeah, like so. From what I saw, like both online and in the few times that I jumped in to watch, I saw that a lot of people were getting kind of hung up on the third encounter.
The third encounter is a pain, and the way you get around the pain point is almost so obvious that you don't even see it. So do you want me to go into it?
Yeah, please. If you can break it down encounter by encounter, just like a short summary.
So the first encounter, the mechanic for almost the entire raid is what's called a tether, which is basically linking energy between the source and the outlet, if you will. So you have to, when you first spawn in, there's a gate that's closed. The only way to open it is to start the tether and bring the tether to the gate. That you do throughout the entire first encounter. I think it's 3 times total. That you'll open that gate so that you can progress. And so the boss of the third encounter, you see it during the first encounter, and you move him along as you're opening up these gates. So all that really is basically like a relay. First team opens the gate, they push in, kill the ads, create the space so that you can open the second gate, and then the team that was left in the first room extends over into the third room, clears that out so that we can go in. The second team can go and open the gate so that you can finally get a free run to the end. And at the very end, there are something like 80 Cyclopses that spawn that all one-shot you.
Oh, God.
So you have to find a way to take them out and chase the boss. The boss will drop what's called an overflow, and you have about 3 seconds to get to the overflow before it wipes the entire team.
Okay.
Right? So there's all of this is all going on while you're trying to create this tether to unlock these gates. So there's a lot of moving parts. It sounds a lot more complicated than it actually is in execution. But so that's your first encounter. You have to create this tether so that you open up these gates all the while juggling the overflow. There's a cooldown on the overflow, so you can only grab it once unless you die. So it becomes a juggling match between tethers and juggling the overflow. Second encounter is basically a relay, but you need to have a tether so that you have what's called Enlightened. Enlightened is a buff that allows you to take out a shield on that are otherwise immune for other fire team members. Now, all you have to do is even look at them to drop that shield. It takes 1 bullet to drop the shield, but If you don't have the enlightened buff, you can't take out the shields. So the second encounter is basically a relay of trying to maintain your enlightened buff while occupying 4 corners of a map for a certain amount of time before that encounter basically just essentially not dissolves, but how do I explain it? 4 corners. There are 3 angelics that spawn once you have captured all 4 corners. Then all 4 corners get a set of 3 angelics. You have to kill all 3 angelics in all 4 corners before you can progress that. So that one takes a little bit of time. There's a lot of traversing. There's some portal jumping that you do so that you can go back and forth and support each other and refresh your buffs. The third encounter, you get to the large harpy you first saw in the first encounter. You have to bank motes in order to get to a damage phase, all the while juggling the overflow that he will drop periodically. Then you get to damage phase. Damage phase, you got to shoot a bunch of his eyes in order to get to his actual damage phase, where you can have one single crit spot to shoot, and then he runs away from you. So what everybody gets stuck on is that when he runs away from you, you just chase him.
Yeah.
And nobody understood that, because when he runs away, he creates a wall that would block you if you stood still from shooting him. So we're all banging our head against the wall trying to figure out what to do to take this guy out, because the damage phase isn't that long. It turns out if you just walk forward, you're in front of the like you literally just walk forward. You are there then in front of the wall that he puts down, and you have a free reign of damage to put out, which extends the damage phase by at least 2 times as long. So once we did that, once we realized you just walk forward, it was a lot easier. But it sounds like a lot, and the first few times you do it, trying to get the repetition, it is a lot. But once you get it down, you split up your teams as to who's going to be running motes and who's going to be grabbing overflow. It becomes second nature. So we were in that room for a good while, but we got to the boss room on par with a lot of the teams that were pacing for worlds first. We got through that pretty quick. And like I said, the answer was so in front of us that we like literally, it was so obvious that we didn't even catch on to it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's a cool mechanic. I did see part of that where you were banking motes and stuff, and I was like, that's a really cool thing that probably didn't cost them very much to add into a new raid.
You got a conflux that you have to bank the motes into in order to get to the damage phase, all the while the other team is juggling the overflow. So when you pick up overflow, you have it for, I think it's a 2-minute cooldown.
Yeah.
If not, it's like a 3-minute cooldown. So while you're juggling that, you actually have to sub out somebody who's doing the mote running and somebody who's doing the overflow, because you actually, if you do it correctly, you'll get to a point where you have 3 people grabbing overflow will still have the cooldown. So that was one of the things we actually had to work around too. It actually turned out that if we weren't dying, we could just have one of our overflow guys die on purpose. This way they didn't have the buff again. Okay. That ended up being one of the better strats, just taking a death on purpose. But in contest mode, like, res tokens come kind of at a premium.
Yeah.
But there's ample places to jump off the map. You know what I mean? So you can actually almost control that. And then the boss phase is a combination of tether, motes, and cleansing your enlightened so you can take down shieldy enemies, all while defending confluxes.
That's crazy.
So there's a lot of moving parts. I wouldn't say as many parts as Spire of Stars, but it's up there. The whole time you're fighting basically over a sea of Vex milk that the boss takes away from under your feet. So the tethering in the final boss phase is only there so that you can rebuild the floor that he takes away from you. So our strat was to have 2 dedicated builders who replace the floor every time the boss took it away from us. Their only job was to rebuild the floor, which you do by creating a tether between basically the source and then the outlet. There's a spot where you would plug it in right around where this floor was taken so that you would rebuild it. We had 2 teams of dedicated moat runners. So they would essentially, you damage the boss to a certain point. He's got a crit spot that opens a portal. We called it invasion portal because it's Gambit related.
Right.
You jump into the invasion portal. There's about 18 enemies, 15 enemies or so. You kill them. They drop motes. Collect the motes. They shoot the same exact crit spot that spawned the portal to bring you back. You bank your motes at the confluxes. There's 2 specific confluxes, and then enlightened enemies will spawn, where you are then enlightened. Once you bank, you take down their shields, and you basically play this game of trying to get 60 motes banked between the two banks to get to a damage phase, at which you actually have to create another tether to get to the boss to start his actual damage phase. You have to tether him twice. The first tether you can take about 1.5 minutes to create. The second tether you have about 30 seconds, if that, to create the tether, or you miss the DPS phase. So we were running with Wendigo. I was running Izanagi's for damage, and once contest mode was lifted and we were actually able to stay alive and have ammunition, it was a 2-phase for the boss clear. So it's a lot. It's a lot of fun. Contest mode made it it's supposed to be a challenge. Only the best players in the world are supposed to get it done. The tether is very cumbersome, and it reaches you from forever away. So trying to coordinate when you would build a platform back versus when you were going to bank motes was one of the biggest problems, because if they go to build rebuild the floor where I have to bank my motes, if I get close to the bank, I am tethered and I can't bank my motes. And if you can't bank your motes, you can't take out the shieldy guys. The shieldy guys sacrifice themselves at the conflux, your entire team wipes. It was never damage that caused us to have an issue. We never saw an enrage cycle. It was always trying to coordinate the motes, the tethers for rebuilding, and the invades. That was the biggest issues. Also, there's cyclopses that spawn every time you start a portal, and they'll one-shot you in your well. Doesn't matter.
So it's just really mechanic heavy is what you're saying.
It is, but once contest mode gets lifted and people are appropriate light, it's going to be a piece of cake. It's not bad once you're actually able to kill ads. Because if you're above an entire sea of Vex milk and you're killing a lot of the ads that spawn in before they actually get to solid ground, you're dropping all of your ammo in areas that are inaccessible. So one of the biggest issues we had was in contest mode, you basically need 3 phases to kill them. Well, by the time we got to the 3rd phase, we didn't have any ammunition that was really available for us, because it's more than just special ammo for DPS phases. I was using the 21% delirium on invade because I needed to kill quickly. If you don't kill quickly on your invade, by the time you get back, you're overrun with ads who have shields. So 21% delirium was carving through, even at the 920 that I was in contest mode. The issue was, by the time we got to the 3rd damage phase, there was no power bricks left for me to pick up. So I had no power ammo left. So now we're taking longer in our teleports, which means that the guys who are trying to build and the guys who are trying to ag clear are getting overrun. So once that all went away, I could use just Recluse when I was in there. I didn't even have to use my power weapon. So that was one of the hardest things that we as a team were encountering. I know that some of the god tier players weren't having issues with power in there, but we were having some issues getting out of the bank, getting out of the moat area effectively. Like I said, those cyclopses, man, because it's not even if they direct hit you, it's just their splash damage itself will get you. And when the floor is taken away, that'll kill you. And when the floor is rebuilt, that'll actually kill you too. So there was a couple times when I get teleported. What's that?
So will you get oh god, never mind.
Well,
I was just thinking about being in the infinite forest and going ahead too quickly, and then the floor spawns around you and you die because of it.
I guess that would kind of be what happened, but it was weird because when he took the floor away, the floor sank into the ground. But when it got rebuilt, it came from the sky. So I get pulled back in. I'm going to the bank to bank my motes. I didn't realize that they were building a section right in front of the bank. I'm cruising in my little warlock floof, and the land just appears and kills me out of midair. And I'm like, I don't even know what killed me. I'm not seeing anything on the screen that's even telling me how I died. So I mean, at that point, we had been in this raid for 8 hours to 6 hours or something. So your reaction speeds aren't the same. Your decision making isn't the same. And but it was. There's also a couple of jumping puzzles in mixed in there, and there's some hidden chests and everything like that too. But those were the 4 main encounters. There's basically 2 relays. Then you have your giant harpy actual boss encounter, and then you have the giant Vex statue dude that you fight for the final boss encounter. And the boss encounter, I mean, if people had a hard time in contest mode in the 3rd encounter, the boss would have been a real difficult go.
Yeah.
Because it is way harder than the 3rd encounter was, at least for us. Like I said, as soon as you figure out in the 3rd encounter that you just walk forward, that encounter itself is I'm telling you, dude, it was so incredibly obvious that you would overlook it.
That's crazy.
It's like in SpongeBob, like, why don't we just take the town and move it over there? You know what I mean? It's exactly like that. How rebuilding the platform helps. If you don't rebuild the floors, the boss will eventually take away all of them, maybe sans 2. And there's not enough room for you to maneuver and cover yourself and grab ammo and stay safe, because splash damage from the boss, especially the way it works is a lot of this area is kind of like a half house. Like there's a wall, and then the floor. And if the splash damage hits the wall to your side and the floor, it counts as 2 times damage. So if you don't recreate space for you just to stay away from all of the corners and all of the sides of everything, you're gonna be dead. The Cyclops will one-shot you. The boss plus the Angelic will kill you out of your well. Didn't matter. Wells weren't going to keep you safe from all of that coming in. And then people were using Risk Runner. We had one person using Risk Runner. The problem is, if that player isn't the one getting the motes, Risk Runner doesn't do anything for the shields.
Yeah.
Plus, that's your exotic spot, so your DPS wasn't going to be there during contest mode.
That's crazy.
Unless you had maybe a Soul Survivor with Firing Line and Firmly Planted or whatever the other perks were. We were relying solely on Izanagi's for damage.
Yeah.
Now that no one who is listening has any idea what I'm talking about.
So shout out. Hey, just for reference, what is the recommended power level for the raid?
Yeah.
I think it's 940. Well, it's 920, I think, was recommended power level, is what we saw when I was looking at it. Don't quote me on that, because I didn't.
Yeah.
With contest mode active, I didn't even bother looking.
890,
everything was red sword.
Yeah.
To me, everything, the entire way, even after contest mode was lifted, because I'm only 920. I'm pretty sure 950 is going to be the recommended power level for the dungeon. I think it's going to be similar to Last Wish.
Yeah.
So 940 for the raid, 950 for the dungeon.
Gotcha.
Interesting.
That's crazy.
So does the bank, this is like completely off base, but the bank that you have to put the motes in, does that look like the one in Gambit? Is it exactly the same? Okay.
No, it looks like a conflux with essentially they're just confluxes, and there's one conflux in the third encounter, and then when you get to the final encounter, there's 2. There's actually 2 different types of motes that drop, and there's 2 different portals that you would take. So there's a red and there's a blue portal, and they each have their own specific motes. So if you go into blue portal, you deposit in blue bank.
Yeah.
If you go into red portal, you deposit in red bank.
Okay.
So I think there's only one. I forget. They have names too. It's like Volcanic something or other, and then there are 2 different names for them, but we just called them red and blue because
that's interesting to me. I mean, the Drifter has you banking motes, and in this, weird raid where Salvation is also mentioned, because the Drifter talks about Salvation, and then these things do. I don't know if anybody's made that connection yet. That's weird to me.
Yeah.
I think the items in the raid, they're not actually motes of dark. They're like a Vex thing. It just uses
they're a Vex thing.
They use them design-wise.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
It's a unique.
You were onto something though.
I don't know.
This is Bungie raid, right? This isn't like
this is straight up Bungie raid.
This was an interesting take on a lot of things, because we see so many different like immune. Oh, it's immune, blah blah blah. This was a pretty unique take on the immune mechanic and how to circumvent it. I enjoy it. I think Garden of Salvation is a wonderful raid. I love fighting the Vex, period.
Yeah.
I'm kind of disappointed that there were no Gorgons.
No oracles.
No oracles. There were champions, barrier and whatnot, which were an issue. So in the second encounter, you will, and maybe even in the first encounter, you will fight the champion, the barrier champion. So with them, you have to have those weapon mods on your weapons to engage in them.
Yeah.
I don't believe we saw any after for the third and for the. I know that there were none in the fourth, because I just spent 12 hours in that damn encounter. But there were some in the first and in the second, so you will need those too. Oh yeah, lots of supplicants. The one thing nobody asked for. We kind of wanted Gorgons back. We wouldn't have been sad about oracles. Nobody said a damn thing about supplicants.
Oh, you want?
But you went. Hey, you want Vault of Glass mechanics back?
They are only in the third encounter. They spawn after you bank, and we learned to control them by banking and basically sitting on the door that they came out of with a machine gun. So we never had to worry about supplicants making it to mid because we killed them as soon as they spawned. Yeah. That was the play.
Okay.
That's crazy. That's awesome.
Cool.
Although every once in a while a rogue one would come and find us because I was on overflow team. So we would, because you're aimed down sights. So the way that the overflow works in the third encounter is you grab the overflow and then the harpy does this spin animation, and then he has 3 sides that expand, and then there are 6 lights, right? But only 3 light up, and only the person who has grabbed the overflow can see them. So it's an inner ring or an outer ring. So we would grab it, we would call inner outer, you'd shoot the lights that were lit up, and then he would just mosey on his way. Well, every now and again, we would have a rogue supplicant just be standing right next to us. As soon as we were done shooting his eyes and he just starts moseying around, we would come out of our aim down sights just soon enough to see that we would have like red on our radar. And then there's this supplicant just like chilling. Hey guys, what you doing? Like, oh, we're not doing anything. He's like, yeah, it's about a good time for me to explode right about now. So he would just explode and then take, 2 of us with him. Every now and again, a rogue one would find its way to us, but.
Oh my gosh.
So it's fun. I encourage everybody to get involved in it. It will test your patience. It will test your patience probably more than a lot of the raids do. This will frustrate you in because there's so many different mechanics. It can frustrate you in 3 different ways. It can frustrate you in running moats. It can frustrate you in grabbing the overflows. It can frustrate you in running the tether. Like there are a lot of ways that this thing will get under your skin, but it's a lot of fun and it's very, very, very beautiful. Very well done. Yeah.
Make sure you have a good team, people you can communicate with, because that sounds like it's gonna be key.
Yeah. I mean, Stash literally can't. I can't imagine not being able to hear. Not even just for voice comms, but for like in-game like
audio cues.
Yeah. Just any like, oh, you can actually hear the Vex when they're sacrificing at the conflux. You can hear it. You can hear when the just the Vex spawn. You can hear it. So he had to rely on visual cues that I'm not sure anybody else even knows about yet.
Yeah,
that's cool.
So kudos to Stash. Our 6'2" who's absolutely deaf. I can't stress that enough. He's an incredible player.
I think the last thing that we're going to touch on is the Vex Offensive, because that just became available yesterday. But before we do that, shout outs to Team Adept.
Ascend.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Wow, Dan, you're batting 1,000 today, huh?
I'll see you later, guys.
Okay, bye.
Shout out to Team Adept, they're real nice guys, but shout out to Team Ascend, who was
Team Ascend.
Christ almighty.
I'm not.
Also, apologies to Team Ascend.
Apologies. This is not making the podcast. So, as someone who edits,
make the video one, baby. Also, no, yeah, props to those guys. Like, I can't imagine getting through something that, again, mechanic heavy and just figuring
their video and their VOD. They were so chill. Like we were running around like crazy people, like just wild animals. We're just literally bouncing around off the walls. We're running over here, running over there. They're just like, hey, you want to build now? Yeah.
That's cool. That's really cool because
hey, you guys cool over there? Yeah, we're fine. We'll be over in a minute. I'm gonna take out this portal real quick. Hey, cool. Thanks, man. Like,
no offense to like some like people who go for worlds first, but some teams just sound like they hate each other, and I understand why that is, but sometimes it's like, whoa, y'all. But like, it's cool that they were just like, yeah, cool, let's do whatever. It's really neat.
I have to say too, like we're talking about Stash a lot, but the entire team that I was on was super chill, super fun, funny. I mean, it was a really good time to raid with them. And I would look forward. I would do a day 1 raid again with that group and anytime. They were great. None of that yelling at each other. None of that getting frustrated. All the communication was clear. We got mad at stuff, but we got mad at the game. You know what I mean? That can be a pain. So we were screaming and yelling about shields and moats and stuff. None of us were getting mad at each other for any of the things that were going on.
That's key.
Yeah.
Is not to direct that like frustration at your team, which I think is a place a lot of people kind of make that mistake. But yeah, good on you if you can't, or if you don't, I should say. Yeah.
But yeah. So leading into the last bit, the Vex Offensive. Has everybody gotten a chance to play it yet?
Nope, no. Don't even know what it looks like.
I have. It is loads of fun, and there's lots of gear dropping. Yeah. It is a good time. So basically, if you're trying to get a great roll on one of the weapons that Ikora sells with her bounties, that's the place to go. Every encounter ends with I've had a consistent legendary drop every single time. So that's the 3 encounters up and then the boss. I think you will have to complete the necessary bounties in order to get powerful drops. But as far as re-rolling those guns, that's definitely the best activity to go to. It's a good time. I love the mechanics, bringing back oracles in quotes.
Yeah, kind of. It's like kind of.
They are definitely oracles in the sense like lore-wise, but they don't look anything like the oracles that we're used to.
It's crystals. It's the crystals that you'd have to shoot. Back in Warmind days, you'd have to use you'd have to shoot the little purple crystals and everything, and they drop Vex heads,
craniums.
First of all, you have to like kill a certain amount of Vex in order to even get to that stage. Then once you get the craniums and shoot all the oracles, I think it was 6 the first time through, and then you got a chest. You moved on to the next section. You kill the wave of enemies. You got 12.
It doubles the next time.
Yeah. And then you pass through another gate, and you had to kill enemies while there was a boss that was shielded.
Yes. So in the final encounter, the craniums that you're using to blow up the oracles in the first 2 encounters, you're using those to drop the boss's shields. And that's also where the supplicants enter for that encounter. It's pretty good as far as being able to take it down with a good fire team. You can 2-phase this boss very easily. If you're in with randoms, it might take a little bit longer. I don't think you can fail the activity. I think it's like Menagerie, where you will just keep making progress as long as you continue to perform the mechanics.
Man, that's weird. Like, because there is a timer for taking down all the enemies.
Oh yes. No, that is 100%. No, you're correct. There is a timer.
There's a timer for that, but like, toward the end, you can that boss is just roaming around with a big old shield on him, sticking out like a sore thumb, but marching everywhere on the map. And but I don't think you can fail the boss part per se.
Like mechanically. No, you're right. I believe there is a timer, and I would assume if it ran out that you would be able to fail that way.
But I got a couple good pieces of gear out of it, and like I got the scout rifle. That was pretty neat, but overall, it's pretty nice. I think it took 20 minutes.
It's not a super long activity, but if you jump in, I like the fact that it's a 6-person PvE activity that's not the raid.
Right.
I think that's
a good. I think that's crucial.
Yes. 100%.
People are praising Bungie because of that, because a lot of people are not going to be able to raid just due to getting 6 people coordinated together of the skill level and of communication and temperament that you go in and do an activity. It's going to take hours and hours and hours. So if this is match made, it takes about 20 minutes. And provides end level gear. This is perfect for this game.
It's very nice in rounding out your power because of the way power drops now. Let's say it because of the prevalence of drops, it's very easy to get the one thing that just hasn't dropped for you, whether that be like a helmet or a primary weapon. It's a good place to round out your power if you're looking for one of those drops.
The way that the power scaling even works now is that your ornament progresses even if your gear score isn't, which could allow you to bump up increments of your lowest power level gear just by playing the game, which I think is huge. You're never going to be completely stagnant in this power leveling system that they've come up with, which I think is crucial.
Yeah. It's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. I found myself like at the start of this feeling really confused about how to get power this season. And I'm still a little confused, but I think I understand it more as we're going through. Anything else you guys can think of?
Go play PvP. Okay. Don't read no matter what anybody says on the internet. Jump in, see what the changes are like for yourselves.
Oh my God.
I'm having a great time. Jump in, see how you do. Don't worry about your gear. Just have fun. It's a good time to be playing PvP.
I've only played Crucible for the sake of doing the bounties, the 8 bounties to get a powerful drop, and then the games themselves for powerful drop. So it's like 4 games of classic mix and 4 games of Clash controller comp. And if you, with Dim not working, I was literally using whatever guns were on my character. So I'm out here with like a gnawing hunger and a tiger splite on my Titan, for instance, and I was dropping 30 kills a game, 25 kills a game with 2 auto rifles because there was a bounty for it anyway. The nerf changes to weaponry, especially in hand cannons, have made it so that a lot of other weapons are able to kind of play in the pool too. It's been enjoyable for a non-hand cannon perspective, but for people who are who really enjoy using hand cannons, I get why they're upset. I mean,
it's a different world in the middle range now.
Yeah,
you definitely are rewarded for using a scout, a pulse, or a sniper more so now than it. I think ever. Yeah, I think ever.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I mean, at least all 3 at the same time ever. I mean, we always had Doctrine of Passing, we had our pulse rifle metas, but like they never really all hit at the same time. The other thing to mention, if you're out there trying to find ways to gain power quickly, comp progression is crazy. You'll go up 10 power levels, and if you win comp games in an hour,
easy,
because you get a powerful drop every
sub rank up,
which if you're winning games, you're gonna hit pretty quickly. Plus, the only thing is, I don't know if skill-based matchmaking is working, because I've got friends who are telling me that they're at 0 playing 5,500 players, and I've got friends at 5,500 saying they're playing 0 players. So that's the one aspect that might need some tuning from Bungie's perspective. And even in the skill-based matchmaking games that I've played, I actually didn't recognize any of the names from the prior seasons that I've been playing, where I'll match the same people for hours on end. I don't know if skill-based matchmaking got reset with the swap from Steam to
I don't know.
I don't know, but it does not appear to me that skill-based is turned on yet or has caught up to levels, because I'm telling you, this isn't a knock on the people I've played against, but the amount of players who are top tier, there hasn't been that many, unless they're just not playing.
Coming from console, I've played a little bit on PC, but I've been playing mostly PvP on console, and skill-based matchmaking does seem to be active there. I will very consistently hit people that are like 10 to 100 off of my my glory rank. Very rarely
on console. You're not where the serve, like in comp, it should be no matter what, because you should only be advancing if you win.
Right.
But in the skill-based matchmaking of like actual like not quick play, but it's just called Clash or Control right now on PC, it doesn't appear that it's caught up.
My bad.
On console, you guys didn't have a server swap, right? There's no
you're correct.
Wiped.
Yeah.
But
interesting. Yeah, I wonder.
No, my bad. I thought you were talking about comp.
I haven't stepped foot in comp. I actually wanted to enjoy playing the game. No, like
there's freelance now.
Yeah,
that's
right.
Fair.
But I just
I love that.
Want to do that? Like I just didn't want to play. I didn't want to like sweat the first couple of days or hours into new content. Like, not that
that's
I don't
fair.
know if I would have sweat, but like
no, you're
did the raid race.
Yeah,
what's that?
Sweating enough for 1 week.
I'll tell you what, man. When the AI hits back, I love it. If I make a bad decision, like it matters. You know, like if I overextend, I am in a bad place now, and I am going to get carved out by these red bar enemies that if I was in a strike, I'd be in the middle of dancing around, emoting while they don't do any damage to me. So I thoroughly enjoy contest mode, and I think a lot of people are frustrated with this version of contest mode because of this is the first time we've had contest mode with mechanics, I think, this heavy. Crown of Sorrow really didn't have mechanics this heavy. We had to split off into teams a little bit for that one, but even in the first encounter in Crown, I didn't feel like I was getting my ass kicked.
No,
the first encounter in Garden of Salvation on contest mode kicked your ass. The very first gunfight you got into was a tough one. Like even if you were at 920, which we went into, contest mode says you're 890. It was hard. It was hard to stay alive. It was hard to know where to be, even with wells and whatnot. And I think where I'm seeing a lot of frustration is the tether, and people are calling for the tether mechanic to get nerfed so that we can control where it goes. Because if you're close to the tether starting point, it just kind of goes in whatever direction the Guardians are in. So we circumvented tether by staying the hell away from it. If someone was building, if someone was rebuilding the floor, we literally called it F off. We would F off to the left, we would F off to the right. Like that's what we called it. So because if you're anywhere remotely close to it, it tethers you, and when you're tethered, you can't fight.
Right.
No guns.
That sucks.
I'm cool with it. I like it. Don't change it, Bungie. Don't nerf. Don't listen to
them. On a final note, we're not going to be doing questions for this episode due to some time constraints. There is one question that I saw in the chat though, from Mills, asking about what everybody's favorite quality of life change was.
2,500, 250,000 glimmer.
Yeah.
Yeah, glimmer cap.
I personally think there's a mechanic now that's active in comp where the game will push you towards where it thinks you should be, rewarding more points if it thinks you should be a higher level. I like that. It made the climb a little bit easier. Of course, like more glimmer is always great, but specifically that was a change that I didn't think was necessary that they made that I love.
Okay.
There's for me, it's somewhere between being able to pick up multiple like extra bounties for an activity that you're wanting to run that day. That's a huge quality of life change to like people who just want to play. Like if somebody just wants to run strikes all day, they can spend some extra glimmer in order to get extra bounties. To be able to do that.
That was really cool.
Yeah.
And all bounties matter because they count towards your artifact. So
your season
even do them.
Yeah. So there's that change and the tracking on quests. Now it goes all the way through.
Oh, that they carry over?
Yeah.
With each step? Yep.
Yeah. It goes all the way through with every quest. You're fine. You set it and forget it this time instead of having to hunt it down wherever you are. So I like those two changes quite a bit. So, all right.
Yeah.
I think that's the show. So before we get out of here, let's tell everybody where we are on the internet. Starting with Moon, Chief. I'm sorry that I brought you in late. Tell the people where they can find you on the internet. I am.
No, it's fine. You can find me on Twitter mostly, twitter.com @Moonvald. I haven't streamed for about 8 billion years, but I am also on Twitch, and hopefully I can get back to that soon if, I'm working on getting a rig. So, Moonvald, Twitch.
You also have a Patreon, right?
I do have a Patreon. I wasn't going to mention that, but
well, I mentioned it.
If you like my voice, I do poetry readings and narration readings and stuff like that. I also do art previews and just fun stuff. Snail mail. I'll send you snail mail if you subscribe to a certain tier on my Patreon. Blah. So that's patreon.com/moonvault. But yeah. What about you, Emblyne?
Oh man, I'm a little bit of everywhere. If you just Google Emblyne, all my crap will pop up. I'm around. Feel free to reach out if anybody wants to play. I'm always jumping into various groups, and I'll do just about anything. So
he's an Xbox hoe though, so like
Xbox and PC, not yet on PlayStation. I'll hopefully be joining you guys as soon as Death Stranding comes out.
Oh god. Okay.
Oh, buddy. Yeah. That movie? The 80-hour movie?
Word. I still want to play.
Aura. I'll watch it.
Oh my god.
Hello, my name is Aura, and you can find me in my really bad explanations as to how raid mechanics works at twitch.tv/Aura or twitter.com/evilaura, 3VIL_AURA.
Sick.
Neat. All right, and I'm Danfinity. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Danfinity, but the I's are L's. You can find me on Twitch 4 days a week. Currently, soon I will be streaming here on the Planet Destiny channel on Monday mornings. Hell yeah. That'll be a lot of fun. This week is looking a lot like Destiny. Borderlands 3 has not had the pull that it's had on me in past weeks. But yeah, so that's what we'll be doing. Also, be sure to check out Destiny Digest, the daily podcast that I do with Arrowcast and Green Eyed Music Lover about the news of Destiny daily. Other than that, we wish you all a very happy evening. Thank you for coming and hanging out with us on the Planet Destiny podcast. I'm Danfinity signing off. See you guys later. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
And before we go, before everybody skedaddles from the stream, who are we going to be hosting up?
Sean?
Mr.
Sean Bartley, I think would be a good call.
Sean.
I'm in.
Sean Bartley.
Sold.
Great guy.
I'm already in.
Go check him out.
Guys, go give him a check out. Say Planet Destiny Raid when you get in there. And we'll catch you all next week.